Alright, so which lens to get for 2023, the Zeiss 50mm 1.4 or the Sigma V1 for Sony 50mm 1.4. I just came back from a wedding and I used a bunch of these lenses, so let's find out the final verdict. So, starting with the Zeiss 50mm 1.4, they're not going to release a G2 version of this for sure. It is just the Sony version, the Sony GM F1.4. Personally, I like this lens, and for one main reason. I bought it for really cheap. I bought it for 825 Canadian. Basically, I think brand new for the Sony GM 1.4 is 14,000. So I saved around $600. But the thing is, I bought this in cash, so I wasn't able to tax deduct any of it. But quickly, I just want to say that the autofocus on this works great. I'm gonna put a video over this showing how the autofocus works. Alright, so I have the Sony Zeiss 50 1.4. I'm gonna show you that the autofocus works really well. It's hard to kind of show it properly, but as you can see, it's very sticky to the eye. Just like that. I'm gonna move a bit forward so you guys can see. Make sure it's focused. It's very sticky. Even if I go backwards, and if I go backwards, focus isn't really working well. But basically, at all sides, it really follows your eye, as you can tell. This is just a picture online though. The Sigma works just as good. I'm using it on newer cameras though. I have the A7 IV and the Sony ZV-1, and the autofocus just works amazing on these new cameras. So yeah, autofocus wise, for video and photo, you're not gonna have an issue. For professional use, I've used this for professional photo shoots and a full-on wedding. Highly recommend the 50 1.4. Yeah, it's just a must lens to have in your arsenal for professional settings. Things that I like about this camera and things that I don't. Things that I do, I really like the aperture dial, especially when I'm using it with my ZV-1. It has less custom dials that I can use it with the ZV-1. With the A7 IV, it's not really a must. The reason why I'm mentioning this is because the Sigma does not have an aperture ring dial. The newer Sigma does have though, but the V1 does not. It has the aperture click for smooth spinning, or if I want it to click like that. It's not really something I really use for both video and photo, so I usually just turn it off because it's usually just easier to move it off. I usually still have it on auto most of the time because I like to program it with my dials here. One thing I do like, and I find is a must for every lens, is having a autofocus manual button toggle switch. So yeah, a lot of times I use this for video when I do a lot of revealing shots. Yeah, that's very useful. I like to have that, and yeah, these are the reasons why I like the Zeiss. Also, another reason why you would pick the Zeiss over the Sigma is that it's lighter and it has a small filter diameter. The reason I like that is because my Zeiss 35mm, over here I have it with a skin, over here has the same filter diameter as the 50mm, so I'm able to switch between these two, which is really good. I find that a big plus. With the Sigma though, it has a 77 filter diameter, which is not bad, because if you want to step it up and use it with your 82 millimeter diameter filter length, then it's not really a problem, because if you have a lot of G Master lenses like a 1635, 2470, it'll be easy to kind of swap lenses, swap filters. You're just one step up ring away from getting that. But with me personally, I use a lot of 67 diameter. I have my 24 Gemini. Anyways, too much now. But yeah, for me, I prefer the 77 filter length. One reason you would not go get this over the Sigma is that it does not have a weather sealing gasket. It doesn't have any rubber on the side of the lens, so it's more prone to having dust or moisture inside the lens, the camera. So if that's a deal breaker for you, then I I would recommend not getting this lens. But for me personally, I haven't had any issues. I don't use this thing outside in the rain, and I don't really use it in harsh weather conditions. If you do use that, that's something to maybe consider. So now let's go on the Sigma. Okay, so the Sigma. Let's start with reasons why you would get the Sigma over the Zeiss. Number one reason, it's a lot cheaper. You can probably find this used for $700 Canadian. That's extremely cheap. I ended up buying this for 800 Canadian. I actually bought it from a camera store called Gosselin. It's a really popular camera store. It's basically the Henry's of Canada, or of Montreal. And yeah, so I had a warranty with this included. I have like 3 months warranty, and it's quite good, honestly. And I can still return it within, I believe, 2 weeks. So yeah, I mean, the fact that it has that guarantee, it's actually kind of good for $800 Canadian with tax in and everything. It was pretty good because I'm able to tax deduct this as well. Another reason why I like this lens is that it's bulky. The reason I like that is because I feel it feels more professional with it, especially when you have the hood on with this. I don't have the hood for the 50mm lens. I lost it. It's just not really something I use. But for example, with the Sigma, look at how long this is. It's really professional. It looks professional. But it's a pro and a con. Some people don't like that. Some people want something more portable, and I agree. Packing this in my bag is really kind of a hassle because it takes so much space. The Zeiss it's more compact. It's a bit wider, but it's more compact. And personally, I like the Zeiss a lot more. But when I bring this to professional shoots, like for some engagement shoots or wedding shoots, it feels like a good lens. But that's something I wouldn't want to trade. And yeah, that's pretty much the two main things. The autofocus, I actually found that it's actually much more stickier than the Zeiss. I put a video of the autofocus over this video. Alright, so now we have the Sigma 50mm 1.4, and as you can see, the autofocus works just as great. All corners, I have the A7 IV. All corners, it follows very sticky. Very sticky. The Sigma is actually more silent. I'm not sure if you heard, the Zeiss had a little tiny noise, but it's really nothing to really worry about. It's not going to affect your video at all. But the Sigma is actually much more silent. So yeah, it's a lot more heavier though. Maybe because I have the hood, but it's a lot longer, 77 filter length, but it doesn't have an aperture ring though. It only has a manual focus button toggle, so AF and manual focus button, but nothing else. So there's no aperture dial compared to the Sigma, or sorry, compared to the Zeiss over here. It has this. So if you have a camera like the Sony ZV-1, for me, it is kind of useful sometimes to have this extra ring because it doesn't have a front dial. But the build quality on the Zeiss, it's all metal. This one has a bit of rubber on the rings. I think people would find that a little bit of a con as well, because eventually these may stretch out and fall off rather than on the Zeiss. But to me, no problems at all. I actually like the rubber a lot more. I find it's more grippier. Now the cons of this lens. Optically, quality-wise, it's good. There's no cons about that. But there's no aperture ring here. For me, it's not really a big deal breaker. For some people, they might find it a big deal breaker. The only button it has is manual and AF button toggle switch. That's the only button it has. And it's bulky. That's like the really only con. If you're on a budget and you just want the cheapest 50mm 1.4 with amazing autofocus and amazing quality, sharpness is really good. It's an art lens as well. This is the lens to go. If you have a little bit of money to spend, or you find this for a good price as well, a good use price as well, I would recommend getting the Zeiss over the 50mm 1.4 Sigma, simply because it's a lot more compact and it's easier to bring around. This one just feels too heavy. It's cool if, you know, you have a big bag already, or if you have a case for weddings. But in my opinion, or for the lens that I'm sticking with, I'm gonna stick with the Zeiss, and I'm actually going to return the Sigma over here. But if I haven't had the opportunity to buy this lens for $825, I would have happily sticked with the Sigma. I have no problems with that at all. And yeah, for big shoots, it's nice to have like a bigger lens. It actually just, I feel more confident with it. And yeah, that's pretty much it. It's getting a bit dark. I'm gonna have to turn on the ISO here. The sun went down. But that's pretty much it, guys. That's it for this video. If you guys have any other questions, make sure to message me on Instagram. And yeah, I'll try my best to reply and help you guys out. So that's pretty much it. Let me know which lens you end up going for. Did you go for the new Sony lenses that came out, the 51.4 or the 51.2, or did you end up getting these lenses that I have right now in this video? That's it for now. I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.